New York, I love you, but you're bringing me down.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, you sound great.
Good. Is your recording ready?
I'm deleting my old recording as we speak. I'm just gonna open
You have
up
that
the
little
track
room
here.
on your hard drive?
No, I just don't need it. Loops. We are armed. We are armed. Let me double check.
You're
Make sure
looping?
nothing. We're perfect.
When are you going to
We're
start?
golden. This
What-
is just like that movie, where they're the radio station.
Yeah. When do you want to start recording?
Where are you coming from?
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's just you. I'm just making sure you're not coming from my computer. I guess you just sound far away.
Oh.
Oh yeah, you're good.
So
Well, let me turn you up. That's what it is.
can we do a countdown, or you just let me know when you're ready?
Oh, here we go.
I was hoping to be live by 11.
Let's. Oh, perfect. And we're good. Let's do a little countdown.
Is your hand on the record button?
Hands on the record button.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Your audio's rolling? Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't see a lot of stuff in this show prep that you said you worked so hard on.
Well, somebody rolled over.
Well, yeah. I don't see anything in here that wasn't in here this morning. Oh, I see FTX. Okay, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk. I'm not worried. Are you worried?
I'm not worried at all, sister.
Thanks, brother. Brother, you need to be in your seat. We're about to start.
Got it down to a motherfucking science. This is good. This is good.
All right, say yes.
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 Let me turn this camera off.
Which one? Yeah, that makes way more sense.
Just the one camera.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, save that data, brother. Are you on a limited data projectile out there in the streets?
This computer is much better.
But
Yes.
in where you live, do you have a limited allotment of data monthly?
I don't know. No. I've got unlimited with my.
Because a lot of you guys out there have that problem.
Yeah, not me.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Jacob V Weekly. We want to start, as always, by inviting you to check out Caddyshack of New Hamel, Illinois. I sit on the board of directors, apparently, for my favorite local family-owned tiny operation of a cat rescue. We've rescued literally thousands of cats, and every dime goes straight into actually helping, saving, healing those cats that they rescue. So the only way to support this show is patreon.com/JacobV. That's VI. And tons of content on the Patreon. Tonight at midnight, so 1/20/2023, a new music video by No Antics, conceived and directed by yours truly, shot by myself and the band, DIY guerrilla warfare style, at my mother's secret cabin
Oh wow.
out in Pacific. And there's a trailer on Instagram right now. By the time you hear this episode, that video will be out on YouTube. And we are playing what will be tonight, January 20th, at the Duck Room. Check out that lineup. I'm sure we're playing early. We're not headlining. There's a touring act on it. And they'll probably make us play first because they're sexist.
Yo.
And
That's
if you're
crazy.
if you're on the Patreon, I'll totally guest list you for that show. So just text me. Hit a girl up on the page. On the page. Joe, I need you to fucking be here with me, you piece of shit.
I know. No, I'm here. I'm here right now. I thought you were doing your announcement.
Stop what you're doing.
Oh.
Blinded by
Even the
Stereo is
podcast?
a band that I'm in. Blinded by Stereo has a vinyl record that you should fucking order on Bandcamp. Please. Matt will personally ship it for you. If you do it late enough in the evening, if he's been playing golf with his buddies, he may even ship it to you for free. Blinded by Stereo tape. I just got those boys in line. I said, listen, we have material that's not on the record that I really like, and we need to start planning another record. The vinyl is a maybe. I'd like to sell out of the vinyls we have before we print more, but definitely material coming from them. There's at least an album's worth of songs that people can't just go play whenever they want. So, but there is also a full album out there that sounds just beautiful. It's an absolute cornerstone of my portfolio at this point. It just was a great experience. Like I mentioned, No Antics. Let's do some dates. I get requests all the time from some people want me to have like a mailing list or like a gig calendar. Oh, tonight, January 20th, I'm going to be at the Duck Room with No Antics. Tomorrow, January 21st, I'm going to be with Fresh Rain at the Alton VFW if you want to come have some fried catfish and dance. What else are we doing? Next weekend, I'm doing my first showcase with the School of Rock. My band is doing Prince and Michael Jackson. That's going to be on the Sunday afternoon at the Red Flag, 29th. That's going to be really good. Don't pass up on that. February's coming up. That's already booking up. We got February shit in the books. I want to say February 10th. No Antics is at Bootleg and Bob's. Last time we were at Bootleg and Bob's, it was an absolutely transcendent experience. My brother walked in to the bar full of young people, and I'm ripping on the synthesizer, and he didn't even know I was going to be there. My brother's just a shit bum, and he likes to go to little dive bars like that on his way home from other dive bars. So they didn't even know No Antics was going to be there. He walks in, and I'm just ripping it, just giving it to him. Oh, fuck, that reminds me. I have a new sample intro from a song I need to load into one of my keyboards for tomorrow. Fuck. No Antics. Bootleg and Bob's, February 10th. Fresh Rain is going to be at the Red Star Grill in Cape Girardeau. If you're down there, that is February 11th. That doesn't make any sense. Joe, you really should have my dates on a list. It's like you don't even care about this show.
I really gotta stay up to date with that.
The other night, I played at the Sky Music Lounge with a band I made called Flyover State. We do Southern Americana rock stuff like Tom Petty and John Mellencamp and Cracker and fucking REM.
You don't know how it feels.
Yeah, exactly. We do that one. That's a really good one. Let me get to the point.
What?
And those people can't handle the whole thing. When you really give them the full volume performance like I do in Baldwin, they just don't expect it. They expect to have to go down someplace dangerous to see true art like that. They're just not prepared when you just melt a face. So, yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned for that stuff. Jacob V's favorite songs in January on Spotify is up. That's the companion playlist for the show. Pop in on that. Again, I mean, what is your deal? Last time you were so fucking cranked up that I couldn't even get you to shut up, and now you're
Dude,
a corpse.
I was actually taking crank the last time we were.
But here, what is your deal right now? It's
crank.
like you begged me to do
So I
the
switched
show.
to something called crack.
Are you trying
before
crack
this
without me?
show.
We were supposed to try crack together on the show.
I wanted to do crack on air.
I
want to
do crack.
Crazy?
I want to try crack.
I want to try crack. I want to talk about Alec Baldwin.
We're not there yet.
Oh.
First off, R.I.P. David Crosby.
You just nip all of my transitions in the bud.
You are not producing the show. You are all of a sudden you want to talk about how this is what we should say and when we should say it. And guess what, bitch? That's my fucking job. I'll let you know when it's time to talk about Alec Baldwin being charged with manslaughter. Before we talk about Alec Baldwin being charged with manslaughter, I just want to say R.I.P. David Crosby. I believe he was the sperm donor fathering Melissa Etheridge's children. And he also kind of looked like a walrus. And
he did.
He wrote some beautiful jams. Just, what is your favorite David Crosby?
I really just liked all of his hot takes. He was kind of a funny guy. Like he was like super liberal or something, but I don't remember. He was kind of like center left, but he would always
see boomers
have some really hot takes
that
on
generation,
Trump and stuff.
like politically, they did this thing where they would be really progressive, but then with a really finite end to that whole thing. Like they'd have a certain point where they would get off the train, and they don't change anything they believe. They just quit updating it with new examples. And so they might have been really anti-war and really pro-civil rights, but then they grow up to be really fiscally conservative. And it's like, I mean, all of your ideologies don't necessarily line up. So I would believe it if he was like a free love hippie kind of guy who also was like, well, I think we should abolish the IRS and the public school system. Like that wouldn't surprise me. If he went off the cliff into that a little bit, that would be great. You could research that a little bit. I don't want to type and do the show.
I'm doing it.
And so, well, I'm just saying, so that, and I do want to go ahead and get on to Alec Baldwin as soon as we can figure out a single song by David Crosby without me having to type
it. No, he was in the Birds. He was in the Birds.
He was, yeah.
Do everything, turn. He also did that one song.
Turn.
He did Crosby, Stills and Nash. So he did. And then he also did. He did like. I want to sing.
Wait. Horse with No Name was.
Wife beating James Taylor.
No, he didn't write that, did
James wife beater Taylor. You told me that this afternoon.
That doesn't mean it's real.
You said he wrote it about like Tilda
That's
Swinton
about America.
or something.
That the song "Horse with No Name" is by America.
Oh my god!
And
it's by the band America.
Here's the thing. Yeah, it's by the band America on the album America. A Horse with No Name was written by Dewey Bunnell.
Dewey Bananas.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I used to watch a lot of VH1 when I was a kid. And because I just love culture, you know what I mean? And so a show on VH1 was called I Love the 70s, maybe. And one of the songs they talked about on I Love the 70s was You're So Vain, which truthfully, the story is Carly Simon wrote that about James Taylor. Now,
you probably think this song
is about you, don't you? I think it was also rumored that she could have written it about Mick Jagger, but I think the true story is supposed to be she wrote it about James Taylor, and that part I believe. Now, as a joke, some guy whose face you would recognize from bullshit TV comedy, whose name I cannot place, he said she wrote that about James Taylor, and he wrote Horse with No Name about her, just as a funny way to call her a horse with no name. But actually, truthfully, now that I'm looking it up, that has no connection. Yeah. That song has no connection to James Taylor or David Crosby. But what you just experienced is something I just talked about at dinner with my best friend Emma. I just hosted trivia at Blue Wood Brewing, and you guys should come out. This is one of the biggest games we ever had this week. It's the hottest trivia night in town. It's free to play. If we run out of shit, we'll print more shit. There's no cap on how many people we were allowed to be
more
there.
trivia.
You can bring your own food, and you can win free drinks every round. You don't have to wait to the end to win. And so it's a really fun game. And tonight was really special. A big group of people were there that I went to high school with. Because my buddy from high school owns the place, and he's the brew guy, and so they were all hanging out there for trivia. And then I have 7 or 8 regular teams that come every week, and then my wife was there. She helps me keep score at the end when it gets crazy, and a bunch of our friends were there. Now, some of us went to dinner afterwards at the Cafe Piazza. Shout out! I think our waiter was QAnon, but the food was lovely. And he wasn't QAnon himself. He's just a QAnon guy. He recommended some book about space. We were just making a joke about squid because we ordered calamari, and then he told us to look up some book about the space-time continuum that he heard about on Rogan, I think. And which is great. That's a dog whistle. When you're trying to order some arancini, you know what I'm saying, brother? I want a risotto fried ball, dog. And you're talking to me about Squid Games, brother, dog, fam. Anyway, but Emma called me out at dinner for this thing that she calls the Golden Corral effect, which is a bad habit of mine, and people in my family will impulsively tell you something with an assumed confidence that is so profound that people often interpret these things to be real. And then, sometimes years later, you realize that it's not real. It was like a joke that nobody ever pulled the punch on. And
It's a lie? The thing that they told you in confidence was a lie?
with confidence, not in confidence. With confidence.
But why is that? What does that have to do with delicious Golden Corral?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Family home cooked
So
meals.
early, Emma and I have been best friends since August 25th of 2005 when I asked her to borrow her eyeliner because that night I was going to see the White Stripes at the Fox Theater and I really needed to feel confident and I wanted somebody to put eyeliner on my face. And that's when we first met. And at some point I told her a story that I had gotten kicked out of Golden Corral for trying to put meatloaf in the chocolate fountain. I don't know if we talked about this when she was on the show. She's been on the show a couple of times. She's a good friend of mine.
Monster.
And I told her this whole story about how, the lady screamed at me, "Sir, you can't put savories in the sweets," and that they kicked me out. Now, but here's the thing. I just thought that was funny, and just the inspiration from God hit me like a lightning bolt in my brain. At the time, I was maybe like 17 when I told her this, maybe 20. You know what I mean? Like young. And she believed it for 8 years. She thought that was a real story, and I had ended up telling it to my wife and other people in our friend group who believed it for years, up until just a couple years ago. Similarly, when I was a kid, that none of that happened at the Golden Corral. I just thought it would be funny if it had happened, and I thought it was a good story, so I told it to Emma one time because we were bored. Joe.
I'm listening.
You're not. You're fucking not, because you're fucking not responding.
To the story.
But you're not responding at all, so it makes it feel like I'm not talking to anybody.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not mad.
I heard that. It was a great story, though. The Golden Corral
it's not
story.
done. Because, for example, when I was a little kid, my grandmother told me that she had gotten fired from Taco Bell for putting too much sour cream on a taco, which is just not a thing that would happen. But I believed her because I was a little kid, and I believed everything she said. And
Taco Bell back
and then
then.
years later, it wasn't until I was a grown adult that I realized, wait a minute, you never worked at Taco Bell. That doesn't match any of the other information I have about your life at all. And she was like, yeah, why did you think I worked at Taco Bell? I'm like, because you told me you worked at Taco Bell. And this happened when Clay was on the show. At some point Emma's about a year.
I hate it when they deny it.
Yeah, Emma's about a year behind. They won't remember lying. That's why Mark Twain said that shit about the truth.
He said that he invented the Golden Corral effect, Mark Twain.
Yeah. This all goes back to Mark Twain. But
that's
my
really funny. I
grandfather,
remember
my grandfather would also do this.
Corral.
For a time, my grandfather was driving a shuttle at the airport when he was retired, but trying to make a little side pocket change. You know what I mean? Driving the shuttle, and he would do this to people all the time. Like they would ask him something like, "Hey, do you know what the exchange rate is from Canadian dollars to U.S. dollars?" And he would just give them a number. He would just make one up, but very confidently. He would just say it's 357. Like he would just say, "Oh yeah, it's 1 Canadian dollar is exactly 2.48 or something, whatever the thing is." Like he would just make it up, but so confident and specific and quick that people would just believe him. And they would.
That's all it took to be smart back then, because you didn't have a phone.
Right. Also part of that. But so we found out on the podcasts about this time last year that Emma's exactly a year behind on the podcast. So she was telling me about this episode. This is why she brought it up at dinner. That at some point, like 10 years ago, I convinced Clay that Wes Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson are brothers. And he believed it. He pushed back at first, but I was able to be so convincing. I made up some story about how they grew up making movies together or something. And he believed it and told it to people for literally a decade.
My God, that's just like my mom. She said, "This is like my mom." She said she went to school with the fucking the guy, the actor, and she just fucking lied about it.
Well, my mom told my cousins growing up that in the 80s, before any of us were born, she sang backup for Aerosmith. And the 80s were not...
That's so awesome.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff happening, and so these kids aren't necessarily going to go pull research, especially not when we were children. We didn't really do Google and stuff back then when she started telling us that. So that's the thing. It's a thing in my family that people do. They will fucking lie. And let it go to
my mom had me
like to be funny. It's like a long running prank, but really it started innocently. I wanted to tell my friend Emma a funny story, and I didn't have one because we were bored because we didn't want to work, so we didn't have any money, so we didn't do anything. So I had never been kicked out of a Golden Corral. I had been to a few. We used to have a shitbox buffet over here on Watson called Ryan's. It was ratchet. It was so good. And and John was saying, like, when his friends on spring break one year, they went to Branson and they went to a buffet, and it was like all you can eat like steak, but it was like actually just chuck roast that had been cut into the shape of steaks. And so it was a really weird eating experience, but it was all you can eat. So what are you going to do? It's like, I'll butcher it. I don't give a fuck. As long as I can chew it, dog.
Yeah, it's seasonal, that shit. It's like country fried steak.
So we have talked about the Golden Corral effect. We have talked about David Crosby. We didn't really name a David Crosby song because we got sucked into...
Well, David Crosby was in Buffalo Springfield.
And I love Buffalo Springfield.
Yeah. Well, it's really funny because he hates Neil Young with like a passion, because Neil Young, they were going to play in the Ed Sullivan Show, and then the night before...
Whoa. Don't fucking change your fucking dynamic like that. Are you kidding? You're going to start screaming in my ear after laying back on the couch?
Oh, sorry.
And now your camera's dead?
The podcast is falling apart. Stop calling me. Oh, my God.
Where's your camera, Joe? I lost your camera.
Everything's falling apart. We lost Joe.
I was in the middle of talking, but
the night before they were...
Now you're still screaming in my ear. You know you can hear yourself in your headphones?
It was the night before they were supposed to be on Ed Sullivan.
Please don't talk away from your microphone, because it's going to be hard in post.
And Neil Young backs out because he wants to start his own band. The night he chose to back out was the night they were going to play Ed Sullivan. But back then, that was
like the thing. That was like the number one thing. It was like the number one opportunity.
I'm sorry, Samantha. I'm sorry.
What?
I woke up my fiance. I'm sorry. I'm quiet down.
Because you fucking are yelling.
I'm sorry. I can't. The studio set up. I love you so much.
Oh my God.
Life's falling
this
apart.
Is a nightmare.
Okay. Anyway,
if we weren't streaming live right now.
Okay. So Anyway, yeah. So that's all that happened. Yeah, they played that song.
So, but
It's
they didn't
for what
play
it's
the
worth.
set. They didn't play the set on the Ed Sullivan Show.
No, they didn't. No. Isn't that crazy? It was right when the band was like about to take off. Because back then, that was like when the band was going to take off. Is that a bomb pop that you're reading? That was when the band was like officially going to take off. Was when you got to play the Ed Sullivan Show. That's because that's like the most watched television event was the Ed Sullivan Show with the Beatles because like everybody was waiting for that big moment. Anyway,
Wow. Yeah. You know what your specialty is? Establishing momentum and then fucking it up.
I can get up. Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
Hey, for the Google phone, for the text message that's on the screen right now, you can always text the show live at 314-626-4208. Is that the Jacob V Weekly Gmail or my personal Gmail?
That's the Jacob V Weekly email.
Okay, so I mean, because I got that new phone this week.
Yeah, we're gonna do we're gonna do Jacob V's tech reviews.
Of what?
I don't know. It'd just be funny if that was a sketch in the show.
Okay, let's refocus. Let's tighten up here. Can I tell you what I want you to tell me about right now? Alec Baldwin being charged with manslaughter.
I have a lot of interesting takes. So the story goes that obviously.
Can you give me just the facts first? Just what happened today?
Yeah. Here's what happened. Well, today he's being officially charged by the judge that for involuntary manslaughter.
Manslaughter.
Which I was like, oh, that sucks, because I was like, what if that was me? And then every time, and it's always with this particular story. Every time I read into this story, I'm like, nope, yep, you fucked up. But like basically, he was on set and he's a producer, right? He's not only an actor, he's a producer as well for this film Rust that's never going to come out. But they decided not. Now? No, it'll definitely not. But they never finished it. But they didn't hire a union crew, right? And so like the other problem was they weren't practicing any like gun safety like regulations where if you have a union they're like required to, and it's like a huge like block of time because you have to talk to the entire crew about gun safety and like all the different rules and regulations, and like there's a really big process for handling the guns on set even if they're not using like real rounds. But this gun had a real round in it.
Why?
And it actually, because they were practicing with them the day before.
Is that real? We had heard that early on, that they were test firing the gun with live ammunition on set.
Exactly.
And so as a producer, do you think that makes him more criminally negligent?
He's more liable because he just had to take on more.
Is the word, yeah.
Yeah, he took on more of a responsibility, and it was his job. It's part of his job as a producer to upkeep, like to keep up, safe practices on set and reinforcing the regulations. And he wasn't doing that at all. He gets handed an active gun, and
live.
Live, and so he shoots her, and the worst thing is I'm pretty sure he was goofing off with it too at the same time, which makes it even worse. He was goofing off with the gun simultaneously, and so he is going to be put on trial for this, which I think he absolutely, and this being said, the largest he could get sentenced is like 18 months in prison with like a $5,000 fine, which in the article they make it sound like that's horrible, but it's like, dude, fuck you killed somebody, man. Like you accidentally killed somebody. Like a citizen would go to school, go to fucking school. They would go to prison forever, shit like that, So
do you think he'll do any time?
He definitely will. I think
time.
They're out to get him with this. Yeah, I think they're out to get him. I bet you he's gonna do 10 months.
Months
in prison. Yeah, I bet
that's always a mixed bag, isn't it? When is it a short amount of time?
It's gonna be exactly. It's gonna be his choice too. I think.
Like he'll get to choose when and where type of thing.
No, I think he's going to like not go hard because he's a super liberal, and I think he's gonna like. I think his like people they're gonna
You
tell
think he's
him,
gonna
you
lib
know,
it up?
yeah. I think
Is he
they're
gonna
gonna be like,
lib it up?
10 months.
Is he libbing every
Yeah.
minute of it?
Yeah, I think they're gonna be like 10 months. You can handle 10 months. You go in there. You take
Alec,
responsibility.
Alec, you can do
Yeah.
10 months. Alec, stop
Alec.
crying.
He's just screaming.
Alec, you can do 10, brother. Your brother did 18 for cocaine. You can do 10 for shooting a broad in the face.
Seriously, that's so fucking.
Didn't one of them do
Let me see.
18 months for coke? Something? Maybe
Bowen's brother.
maybe snorting coke off of a minor or something. His brother's is bad news.
I just Google Alec Baldwin's brother went to jail too. That's what I wrote in the search bar.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, I just wrote. Oh, one of the Baldwin brothers had a bad luck.
And
Oh man, he looks awful. Santa Monica Jail. He was booked at Santa Monica Jail and held on $20,000. No, he got bailed out of that shit. He didn't go to prison.
I'm talking. I thought one of them did some
Brothers.
time. Maybe I'm thinking of Marky Mark's brother. Did Marky
Those
Mark's
are
brother
tough.
do some hard time?
Well, he's in a bunch of cop shows now, so I feel like that's unlikely.
Okay, but so you're just
Stephen
fucking shooting
Baldwin
from the
will go to
hip.
jail.
You're gonna shoot from the hip. You're not gonna
Okay.
Google did Marky Mark's brother do some hard time?
I was googling the Baldwin brothers, but yes, I'll do that. Did Marky Mark's brother?
Keep my Baldwin tab open because we're coming back to Alec and the other ones. But did Marky Mark's brother do some hard time in the joint?
No, Donnie Wahlberg. He's a successful actor. No, he didn't go to jail. He didn't go to prison.
Are you assuming that though?
No, I'm looking at it.
As long as you're
Personal
not
life.
assuming it, as long as you know.
Yeah, he had a misdemeanor for criminal mischief. He had drunk driving. Yeah, but he didn't go to jail. He didn't go to prison. He was forced to do some public
Has anyone
service
ever
videos.
done any hard time? It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, no. Roman Polanski got away. Woody Allen, Michael Jackson, they're all fine. No jail. What are you doing? Oh my god. Is it happening? Oh my
What?
god.
Oh, I was
Dude.
signing into the Google
Oh
phone
my
thing so I
god,
could
I thought
get
you
the
were
text
dying.
messages that we're getting. I
can't-
just because I told
can't do
people
it
in
on
trivia
air.
that we were podcasting, so if anyone ends up texting the show, I don't want to totally ignore them. Alec, you think he'll do 10 months in jail?
But yeah, he's gonna get 10 months. He's
Why
gonna
do you
pay
think
the
10?
because I don't think he'll do full 18. I'll think because what he wants to do is he wants to make sure everybody knows that it isn't his fault. But I think he'll go to jail. He'll go to prison for as to pay respect to the woman he accidentally killed. You know, because somebody's got to do some time. I'll tell you what, his associate, somebody else is getting charged as well. The other, the company that handled the arms, the head of that company, I think is going to fucking prison. Let me see. Okay, here we go. There should have been an investigation into what happened, a crew member said. There were no safety meetings. There was no assurance that it wouldn't happen again. All they wanted to do was rush. A colleague was so alarmed by the prop gun misfires that he sent a text message to the unit production manager. We've now had 3 accidental discharges. This is super unsafe, according to a copy. Oh my god, this is before it happened. Holy shit. The
Really?
safety of our cast and crew is the top priority on Rust Productions. Yeah, I don't think so. And everyone associated with the company. The Rust Movie Productions said in this statement.
The company is called Rust?
No, well, so when you sometimes I think when you make a
They
make a
set up an
film,
LLC just for the one movie,
Yeah.
just as like a tax
Yeah,
scam?
in the same way that you'll have a website just for one movie. You can still go to Indiana Jones King of the Crystal Skull.com actually.
That's the movie you go with, huh?
Yeah. I used to visit that website a lot when I was a kid. I was really excited for that movie. The
I
the
can't.
filmmaking team was lining up its camera angles and had yet to retreat to the video village, an on-set area with okay. Yeah, I think this production was just super
Well, there's a lot of that
unregulated.
because doing it legit is really, really, really expensive and slow, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and so, uh, doing so I'm sure people are cutting corners all the time using what we call scabs, which are non-union, lower budget versions of otherwise unionized services, like props and shit. So I mean, and if he wants to be the producer, so that he can get the movie, he can make the movie and then get a bigger chunk of the thing, and then save on his salary. That's the thing; he's not paying himself twice,
This is interesting.
or he
So
is. It's a tax scam.
the person in
Doesn't he
charge
have like
of
10 kids though?
oh yeah, he's got a franchise of kids. Um,
He
so
should have each of the kids do 1 month for him.
they would absolutely be willing to do anything for you, father. Um,
No, I think they all think they're
so-
Spanish. Isn't it his wife
Yes,
that
it is.
thinks she's Spanish, or she's trans Spanish? She wants to be Spanish.
Transmen.
Isn't that Hilaria Baldwin? Doesn't she
Hilaria.
act like she's Cotillion Spanish, but she's like
I want to give the audience the full story. Someone else is being charged in this. Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who was in charge of the
why do
weapons
you refuse to
during
say her
filming.
name right?
She has a name.
Say her name, Joe.
Hannah Gutierrez.
Okay,
Gutierrez
that's a little
Reed.
better. I appreciate it. I
Who was-
just put some respect on it. You know what I mean?
Who was in charge of weapons during the filming, will be charged with the same same in criminal courts. So she's interesting. She's like some nepotism child.
She's a
person
nepo. She's a nepo baby.
The Nepo baby. The person in charge of overseeing the gun props, known as the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, could not be reached for a comment. The 24-year-old is the daughter of veteran armorer Thel Reed and had recently completed her first film as the head armorer for the movie The Old Way with Clint Howard and Nicolas Cage.
So that's not
It
like
is
a
so
family
funny.
business thing. That's
A
like
24-year-old.
she was
24
24 and she was doing the Guns on
I'm
Rust
25. And she was in charge of
of the Guns
gun
on
prop.
Rust. Confirm that for
God,
me.
that
Are
is-
you saying, sir, for the
Yeah,
record,
she was.
that the 24-year-old nepo baby was in charge of the Guns on Rust?
Yeah.
And maybe it is Alec
and-
Baldwin's fault because he was supposed to be in charge of that kind of stuff as a co-producer
And-
of the film?
Yeah, and the guns.
Is that
kept
what you're
going
telling me,
off.
brother? And the gun,
Yeah.
what? And they were live testing firearms on set, and
Yeah.
and he maybe could have even been goofing off with it. Is there any reason to believe that maybe he wanted to shoot that specific lady? Have you seen anything about that?
No, let me look that up.
Is there any
Did-
reason to believe that maybe it was an accident on purpose? Because it's, I mean,
Hold on. Want to shoot her? Someone, yeah. His famous statement is, "Someone is responsible for this, but it isn't me."
but it isn't me. Yeah, I've seen that. That's been on TikTok like crazy.
I beg to differ. He doesn't believe he or anyone else will face criminal charges in the fatal shooting. Man, for someone to die while somebody's making a joke with a gun on set,
I just
like,
confirmed the phone number is
somebody
working.
got-
So if you have any perspective on the Alec Baldwin situation, you could text the show right here on the screen, brother. 314-626-4208. Alec Baldwin's going to fucking prison. Am I right? Who's with
Oh,
me,
yeah.
ladies? Joe, you have
Anyway,
to
back
talk
to-
to me. You have to
Yeah,
talk to me as the other guy on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not. You're not even talking to me now. You're trying to get me to leave you alone.
I want to talk
so you
about
could-
FTX now.
so you could dive into your goddamn fucking Google Chrome tabs. So we got Crosby, R.I.P. Alec Baldwin going to fucking jail, maybe. R.I.P. to that booty hole.
Yeah. Okay. And what they have.
God,
What?
I bombed a joke this evening at trivia. I made my joke about how the Whitney Houston hologram in Las Vegas is $97, and how for $97 you better get about the tub. But nobody laughed.
Oh my God.
And so this table of nurses in front of me kind of turned around when I said, and I was like, God, this is my trivia game, bitches. It's free to play. I can make a joke. The hologram is literally $90. I'm not the criminal here. I saw this today, and I asked you to prep it. FTX has enough money to repay their investors that would be, represented in any kind of a criminal intervention here. So he said this from the beginning. Sam Bankman-Fried has said from the beginning that FTX wants to make everybody whole, and he wants to return all the money that people lost, right? I don't know how that's possible. I don't know how that's possible, but my heart is open to it. Joe, what are you hearing?
So I guess he got like $5 billion in assets recovered. It would only find $1 billion in the wake of the collapse last year. So I guess he was able to recover like $5 billion, and the bankruptcy court heard that the company, which was valued at $32 billion, blah blah blah. Okay, he's missing $8 billion, so he was able to recover $5 billion, which is super suspicious. Yeah, $5 billion. But you know what's so fucking crazy is like, so when he got bailed out of that, that not American prison wherever he was, he got bailed out of jail. Somebody fronted, it was like $250 million that he needed to get out of jail, and somebody fronted like a huge portion of that, like $150 million. And we don't know who that was. I think something's going on, like really weird, because his family had to take donations and only got like 30 million or something to get him out.
Donations?
And like, I have no idea how, like we there's somebody who's kind of floating them a little bit. And I'm wondering if that 5 billion hasn't been recovered, but I wonder if instead it's been gifted. But yeah, so he's going to try to pay everybody back.
Who do you think that could be?
I think it's the, he's
Say it.
Part of a very specific ethnicity of people that seem to take care of each other.
No. That's not what I wanted you to say. That's not what I thought you were going to say. The Bidens.
No. Well, the liberals definitely love the fuck out of him. Like, I mean, you saw that fucking New York
didn't
Post
see it. That's why you're in charge.
Thing. Yeah, no, you saw the New York Post, New York Times. Sam Bankman-Fried tried to save the world, but failed. It's like, no, 8 billion has gone missing, dude.
How was he saving the world? Didn't he live in a sex cult in the Bahamas?
Yeah. No. He was trying to like donate a ton of money to all these different private interest groups, but they were all supposed to be like super big world players, and like he's donating a ton of money to the Democratic Party. The only reason Biden won the election was probably because of FTX.
That's why I thought you were going to say Biden is helping him out. I thought you were going to say Joe Biden is helping him out, because I knew that much.
I can see them.
I don't know why you would have said the things that you started to say.
I could say, you know what? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
isn't something crazy going on? Did I read that Hunter Biden is trying to get a court to prevent one of his illegitimate kids from taking his last name?
Yeah, I heard that too.
Jeepers creepers. Cheese and rice.
You can't be a Biden.
I mean, that's cold. That's cold. She's a girl. She might not even stay a Biden forever. She may change that name again. Let her be a Biden for a while. Maybe she'll get 10, 20 years as a Biden. Let her do it. I bet she's not paying that child support either, that rat bastard. Nothing stresses me out more than people that don't pay child support.
This is weird. I guess FTX has no legal reason to reveal who he has like ripped off, and the people who are being ripped off also won't, because it could hurt their companies. knowing that their names are on this list of people that have been ripped off by FTX. And so it put the judge in this really Judge Dorsey in this really like weird position to where he can't like. It's hard for him to decide what kind of charges to press if he doesn't know who he's pressing charges for, like that kind of thing. This is so crazy.
So, are you saying that I should get the Apple Care for my new iPhone?
Yeah, I do. I just.
But here's my problem. Can I level with you for a minute? For the past couple days, I had like a standing notification in my settings about I could still add Apple Care. But then I hit the not right now button, but I wanted it to save it for later so I could do it tomorrow when I got paid. Yeah. But now it's not there anymore. So can I still do it?
Yeah, you can. You just have to go in. It should be for 3 months. They should offer it to you for 3 months.
No, yeah, it said I still had like 90 days to do it, but I don't know where to go in my phone to do it. I could just do it on a website.
Maybe that's something we can solve off air.
I don't know. I think people ask me this kind of shit all the time. Is the thing. People ask me all the time. It's like, hey, I got a Roku. I used to do this professionally. People will call me on the phone and say, yeah, my Pro Tool don't work. And I'm like, well, here's the thing I want you to do first. I mean, I would walk people through. This is when I would really take my lunch break, was when we had this guy that every now and then would walk in with his entire iMac, with his cables dangling for his keyboard and his mouse and his interface. And he'd bring his whole desktop computer into the store for someone, I guess, to show him how to operate the stuff he had purchased there and installed on that computer. So I would see him standing in, checking in, signing in his computer with the door guy, because we still had those then. And that's when I'd be like, guys, hey, you know what? I got to take a shit.
It was so funny. I was at the place today. I was at the place 2 days ago at the Apple store. And he says, dude, we have regulars. I said, what?
Oh,
he says, yeah, we have fucking regulars here coming here every week. And I was like, who has that kind of time? He says, I don't.
But what for? For, like, help?
Yeah, just fucking.
Oh, that's awful. Shit. Can you imagine having to do that? Oh, my God, I just got sick.
They don't get paid on commission, the Apple people, the Apple store people. So
that's probably better, though. That'd be a stressful commission job.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely recommend. Elijah Craig's Small Batch.
You need a commission incentive on something that's harder to sell, something people might not really need, like an appointment.
Yeah, you don't need
for home renovation consulting. You know what I mean? Like something like an all-in-one
Who's
cleaner.
Selling the iPhone?
Here's my thing. It's awful. That's the worst. There's people that try to hire me to do things that just digitally literate citizens just do for themselves.
I can confirm that.
People just
I know an assistant, Jake.
Yeah. And it's wild. I mean, I don't know how people live. I don't know how people file their taxes and live. I don't get it. It's just got to be hard, because it's just the technology is such a struggle for some people, especially older people.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Hold on.
Especially
I didn't know
older bipolar narcissists who are not the strongest communicators. It's really hard for them to remember their passwords and to really understand the fundamentals. It's okay, though. I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to raise it up. Alec Baldwin's going to jail. I think I would totally believe people. What?
Somebody needs to be taking care of our elderly BPD people.
Yeah, and it's not me. I can't keep doing it.
I have this couple that's coming into the. I've made a lot of really good relationships with my new job, but like somebody wants my resume, and like I don't have a resume. Like I have nothing to show for my life.
Somebody just sent me a resume I'm looking at.
Could you whip me up a batch of lies for my resume? I seriously am. I'm gonna lie about like 49% of the shit on there, because it's like any of the things they need me to prove. If you give me 5 days notice, I can learn all that shit and be good at it by the time the interview.
5 days.
Yeah, like a coding language or something. Like I can
Joe,
get down what
do you know
I
how to work
know.
this fryer? It says on your resume you could work this fryer. It's like, well, yes, but I can't show you for another at least 5 days.
Well, I wouldn't be saying it in the fucking interview.
Joke, do you think you could fry me up a batch of chicken? Yep, in 5.5 days.
Give me 5 days and I'm ready to do that. Oh, I've just come down with a profound sickness. I've got to leave this interview immediately.
Instagram's fucked up. Have you noticed this? My Instagram is broken. So there's one problem I've noticed recently that I just got reminded about in a headline I had sent Joe. Instagram has officially been advised to free the nipple. This has already kind of started. There's a trend of like reels of people who are basically naked but wearing like mesh or sheer like see-through type of clothing where you see like full areola and they're like, you know, doing very sexual kind of motions right there at the top of your timeline. It's like a sponsored, like promoted thing because these people are trying to get you to go to their paid platforms where they sell that kind of, you know, sexualized content, I guess, OnlyFans and whatnot. But you'll be like just in line at Taco Bell and you whip your phone out, you're just waiting for your food, and then you open Instagram, and I have a giant 19-inch phone, and I go to open my Instagram, and it's just areola, unsolicited, unrequested. There it is right now. I can't even show you. It's too hot. It's too crazy.
That's the most offensive thing is when you're in class, you pull up Instagram.
Yeah. Oh my
and
God,
fucking
these
just a
people
whole
are like
ass
naked,
fucking-
and they're trying to get you to go to their OnlyFans, and I've like, you know, and you can report it or whatever. But now, I mean, it's official that Instagram is supposed to allow areola, and that I don't mind because like there's straight up porn on Twitter. You know what I mean? But you can
Twitter's
also avoid
atrocious.
that stuff. This stuff is not stuff that I have followed. These are not pages that I follow. This is sponsored content. People trying to sell OnlyFans accounts with.
More power to Twitter. I mean, sorry, more power to Instagram, man. Good for them. You know,
I
free the nipple.
appreciate the freedom. I want to be able to not have boobs on my phone without me asking for boobs on my phone.
So you're gonna
I know I can.
discriminate
I
with
know
your
I can
ads.
get. I can get boobs on my phone. I know how to do it. But if I didn't
It's
ask
funny if you
for
get
it,
canceled for trying to cancel their ads on your phone.
but
like
if I
they
didn't
say.
ask for it, I don't want it. What if I'm at dinner with my wife's family and then I just go to check Instagram real quick and there's big old boobs on my phone that I didn't even ask for? They're not boobs I've ever seen. They're not boobs that I follow.
That's
Who
so
is-
funny.
Who's the cat hissing at? You two will calm down. They're fighting. The cats are in a tussle. It's probably a dominance thing. I think they want water. You guys just had. I'm gonna refill the water,
They're
guys.
fighting for water in your house.
It's It's Mad Max out here. There's water in the toilet, kids.
I was freeing the nipple on Instagram the other day, and you know, I got a lot of requests for the nipple. Jake, you've got to stop. You look like you're dying every time you go down. You look like you're having a
Really? I'm just
seizure.
looking at my phone.
It's so disturbing. Anyway, you know,
Here, I'll hold my phone up
know-
like this so people can see it.
yeah, you just look like you're going down every time.
It's like a POV thing. These girls are acting like you're engaging in a sex act with them, and you can see full areola through like a mesh top, and it's like it's all about. This one's about when I let King Charles hit.
Oh, interesting.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is that and it's
King
definitely a
Charles.
sponsored thing, and there's these weird pages that like reshare the same stuff. Okay, and here's the other thing though. These same pages also share like crazy, like violent things that should not be on social media. They share like security footage from like robberies and stuff where people get shot like for real in real life. And so
So yeah, the number of like violent crimes I've seen. I've seen like dogs getting eaten by alligators on my TikTok. I'm like, God, what the fuck? It's insane.
wow.
You know? You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah, this guy. Look. They're pointing guns. They're smoking in the house. Oh, careful. This gun's going to go off. I can tell. Oh, God. Oh, how's he going to do it? Oh, please don't hurt yourself. It's just wild. And, like, I report this stuff. I unfollow some of these accounts, and then they get sponsored. Oh, he's okay. He just did a little house pop. Little House Pop. You can't have the live
Well,
ammunition.
that's-
This
that's
girl,
pop.
right? I don't want to see this anymore. I am gonna. I don't need to report it as much as I just don't want to see it. Is there a thing I could be like, no more of this one? How do I do that? The girl that is pretending to have intercourse with King Charles will not get off my phone. This whole time we've been talking about it, she keeps coming back up. Every time I move on,
So funny.
I just don't like it.
And now that you've interacted with it at all, and it now believes that you're obsessed with it, the algorithm.
Well, that's the problem too. And now they
Yeah,
want me to
they
read
always
about community
misunderstand that.
guidelines. Oh, it's exhausting. It's so hard. I just want to feed my birds.
All right, moving on.
Woo! Dad in Ecuador legally changes gender identity in desperate bid to win custody of children.
Fox News.
Oh no, it's not. I don't even want to talk
I
about
love-
it.
Yeah, oh hell yeah, it is, brother. Yeah, we report Fox News on this show, bitches.
A dad in
Um,
Ecuador who's dealing with a criminal split from his wife legally changed his gender identity to help him win custody of his daughters. Ecuador is punished, and I'm only seen as a
Selena
provider.
Ramos' official ID card now lists him as Feminino. That is so funny. Of course, Fox News would say it like that. Feminino.
Yeah.
Government
Well,
issued
go
documents.
ahead. Tell me about it.
Well, because of the way it favors him in the court system.
But that's
'Cause-
obvious, isn't it? Isn't that basically the
Yeah.
plot of I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry?
Yeah, right. In the mother's home, and he hadn't seen them in a 5-month period. The custody battle is still ongoing.
But even
Until
in
this matter is resolved, the children have to stay with their mother.
But even in America, it's that system tends to rule for more time with the mother unless there's evidence of a reason why that's not a good idea, right?
Yeah. So
Which is
the law
fine.
is that, yeah, so that's the law. And he's saying the law is taking, so he's becoming their mother in order to challenge that law, right? And so, yeah, the law is until the matter is resolved, the children have to stay with the mother, right? And
Well,
so
here's the
law
thing. But here's the thing. With all this information being
listening.
out there, I don't know that the Latin American court systems are necessarily very sympathetic to the otherly gendered. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Isn't this in
It's good- it's
Ecuador?
great. This is in Ecuador, yeah.
That
He says, the
I
law
don't
is
know
taking-
that. I just don't know that they're the most. I mean, and this has been well documented in other media. That I don't have to, defend this at all. But I just hear that there's a lot of homophobia down in those parts, and I just worry that maybe it could have the opposite effect that he's attempting. But I'm gonna pray for him. Because that's a
Well,
hard
I think
situation.
this is a case of the fact that they don't let that a lot of these things get pushed through a circuit instead of being like we don't like here in America, like you have to be like tried, there has to be a jury, there has to be, and so like even it's actually a huge headache and it keeps a lot of productivity from happening. But if we were to make it more productive, it would just be a dictatorship, but like down there, you may not always have the opportunity to appear in court, and because of that, these things get pushed through court. And so this is his attempt to complicate the matter on paper, because if all they're seeing is the paper, like he's not appearing in court as their mother because there is no court appearance. So he's trying to complicate the system by identifying two mothers in the matter, and that way giving his court case probably the time of day, the time that it deserves, But he's saying that the law takes away our right to be parents. Changing my official documents is a proof of love. And I like that. It's Salinas Ramos is reportedly the first man in Ecuador to use gender laws to gain the upper hand in a custody battle. And news of the gender change has set off criticism from transgender activists in the South American country. The man's private matter to obtain custody of his daughters isn't the spirit of the law. Yeah. Anyway,
I
that
love
was
it.
a good topic.
I love it. I love that. And that's hard because we had a very organized and very a vested sort of divorce agreement the second time around in my family when I was a kid, and we could have even spent a lot more time with either parent if we, wanted to, but it was just kind of a hostile. We were all teenagers, and it was just not. It was hard to build that quality time. So it wasn't like we were being kept from each other and all. So I hope they get to that point. A custody battle is never what you want to hear. So that's goofy. That's goofy. It should be a movie. Did you know that MacGruber was the most recent Saturday Night Live movie? That was
Really?
That was one of the trivia questions tonight, but I feel like that was a long time ago.
It was like 10 years ago.
I mean, and also I always hear this thing that people complain about, that people don't make like really good comedies anymore like they used to, and they blame a lot of it on, the culture, the climate of sensitivity or whatever, which I don't like. I don't necessarily spend a lot of time on that. That's stupid. I mean,
The best comedies are that one director who did The Other Guys and The Big Short. What's that guy's name? The Other Guys was my favorite comedy of all time, and it only has like a 75% rating online.
I also made this joke. Maybe my mic isn't loud enough. I need to start bringing my own PA again, because when it's a big game like that, people just can't hear me. And if my jokes bomb because people can't hear me, it makes me feel insecure, even if it's not my fault. But I said, I think they waited too long to do Wayne's World 3.
Yeah.
They'd be too old. That'd be goofy as hell. Aren't they 60 now? And nobody wants to work with Mike Myers? And what is that about?
Yeah.
Why are all the comedy geniuses of the 80s and 90s actually like really abusive people?
Well, I didn't know that.
I mean,
Why
I
no
don't
one
think
will work
Mike
with
Myers
Mike
ever
Myers.
I don't think he ever groped anybody, but he was just like really mean, and like how Chevy Chase was like really mean and hard to work with.
He has rubbed people the wrong way. Maybe he's autistic. That's how he could dodge that. As funny as he is on screen, Myers has been described as difficult to work with off screen. Myers has allegedly clashed with people on set, including his. It feels that this description just makes it feel like they're just like, I don't know, he's just weird, and I hate that. It's just like, so like they can't put their finger on it,
Yeah, that is weird. I always
Why
loved him as a
Donna
kid.
Carvey and Mike Myers are not friends?
Well, because people love Dana Carvey.
Yeah. Oh, Carvey discussed in a recent interview the two had actually been estranged for years after Carvey accused Myers of stealing the Dr. Evil character featured in the Austin Powers movies from him. So he stole, because he's already like 5 characters in the movie, That's so funny. I don't know. That's a shame. I feel like Donna Carvey's
Joe,
a really cool person.
you were really passionate about the Missouri broadband issue. So there was recently something we talked about on the show about Missouri having a deadline, but a pathway for people to apply for broadband internet to be extended into their area, specifically like rural areas. Like there's neighborhoods even in like House Springs or Eureka or whatever where you don't feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere, but you're on like a satellite internet connection that's like throttled and like limited to a certain amount of gigs every month or whatever. And so this was targeted at that people that just don't have the infrastructure on their street yet, right? But you were saying it was kind of set up to fail, and they didn't want people to sign up, and that's why they didn't promote it. And the deadline has passed, but I wanted to revisit.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it on the phone earlier.
Yeah, I think it feels like a situation in which they needed enough people to sign up for it so they could justify the expenditure. But I think if they don't, they get to, it's Missouri's getting a piece of more than $42 billion to pay for broadband access as part of a federal program. But I feel like if they don't use it, they get to maybe use that. There might be a clause they get to use it elsewhere, or they don't want to use that portion of the funds for that. So the FCC is trying to determine who has access and who doesn't, and what potential errors there are. Errors could be related to location of serviceable areas and what services are available. And I feel like it's one of those things where they poorly advertise this in an attempt to, not popularize it, and they're trying to use the money for other things. I feel like it was kind of I feel like we were kind of gypped. I feel like the citizens consistently get gypped on like government subsidies because they don't advertise them because they don't want them to take like they could argue that they don't want them to quote like be taken advantage of, but I don't think that's the case. I think they're just trying to like I think they're just being selfish with the money. It feels like on my end because I just feel like this is a pretty big expansion.
So
that
they get a big
we should
chunk
have known
of
about.
money from probably a national grant, but it's being divvied up to different states in different ways. And then if they don't, the more people that sign up, the more of that money they have to immediately spend in that infrastructure. You're saying?
Yeah, we saw it with like
Yeah, Missouri's definitely in
We
a
see it all
holding
the time.
pattern. We got all that money from Kroenke for the Rams lawsuit.
oh yeah.
And the choice, and this is interesting because I hadn't really thought about this until recently, that organizations have investments that, like I work with something similar to a church here that because sometimes I have to do stuff for their meetings or whatever, and one of the things is they, as like a church type of organization, take their surplus revenue or whatever, and they invest it in a portfolio, so that
Of
the
course.
like the profit of the business or whatever is invested, and schools do this, employee unions do this, and
This is the history of pensions in general. You know, it was the corruption of
right.
excess pension.
But
you know,
also,
that's what
in this case, so either the state of Missouri or the city of St. Louis is investing all of the money from the Kroenke settlement, or maybe not all of it, but a huge chunk of it, in different things that they described in this article here, different ways of investing it, to grow it over time, as opposed to just immediately spending it all on one thing.
I wonder where all
Which
those,
again is
like,
crazy
profits
because
are
again,
going.
you usually think of in these types of things, it's like, oh well, if we get a grant for $750 million, we need to go ahead and spend it on a new stadium or a new bridge or a new fucking whatever. But instead investing it to kind of hopefully maybe eventually help stabilize the budget here. It's a huge problem. People want to get rid of the 1% earnings tax in St. Louis, but then they have no way of replacing that budget. We don't pay the cops enough, but we also don't have 100,000 of those jobs filled or something.
Well, when we see exponential growth from investments, because that amount is like probably poorly regulated, how much you can profit off of the investments, because the sky's the limit on that, who knows how that money's being divvied up? You know what I mean? Like, who knows where the excess money is going when it's still above the margin they had in the first place? If you keep the amount fixed, you know, that you put in on the investment, and as long as that money's still around, whatever money that grows from that money and investments, who knows where that money goes? You know what I mean?
So Macy's isn't closing all of their stores.
No, it's all of them.
No, it's
They're
not.
starting on the West Coast. They're
Macy's to
starting on the West
permanently
Coast.
close its stores. Macy's will be permanently shuttering several stores in 2023 as part of its Polaris transformation strategy, which aims to optimize and reposition its mall and off-mall locations. So they are going to close a bunch in LA, Colorado, Maryland, Hawaii. They're going to have 12 weeks of clearance beginning in January, which is very exciting. Big and tall clearance. Can I get a 4X? I have a long torso. I have a
Goodwill
long
is just
torso.
your fucking.
I can't
is
go to
your
Goodwill.
shit,
You
man.
can't get a 4X.
No, Goodwill. Yeah, you can. That's all
Fuck
anytime
you.
they get
Anytime
excess
you
from stores, all that shit gets donated.
No, who is donating excess from stores? Macy's is more likely to throw the shit in the garbage than give it to poor people.
They don't have 4X at Macy's.
I used to get them. You can get them online now. There's a brand they have that are real nice.
Hold on.
Managing director of global data Neil Saunders addressed the Macy's store closure, saying most of the heavy lifting has been completed. Continue reading. has opened quite a few new locations in 2022, but they are re-strategizing, it looks like. I mean, and also these stores now in the last 10 years have started to function largely as like a hub for their online business. You know what I mean? People need to do the returns and exchanges, and returns are an excellent opportunity for a different sale if you have a different sale to make. So if you make them return everything in the mail, they're not going to buy anything else. But if they can bring it to a store and not have to mail it, because people don't like mailing things, then they're going to walk by something. Maybe they'll get a candle. Maybe they'll get a crusette. Maybe they'll get some shoes.
It would be so funny if they got it down to the point where like all you had to do, like Amazon, made their workers suffer hard enough to where like all you do was just throw whatever it was that was in the box at them at the doorstep.
Just leave it in the yard.
Throw it at them.
And just tell them in the app, hey, I didn't want this. I left it in the fucking yard. And then they're like, okay, guys, you got to go pick up all the yard garbage. We're going to sell it to somebody else.
I mean, what's so funny is like if somebody were to propose that at like a table, and like with all the investors or whatever, they'd be like, "Oh, so you mean like a program where you'd specially train people to like match items with the?" No, we'll just get the drivers to do it. No, they can do it. They'll be fine.
No, they're out there anyway. Just like, okay, you're delivering the new shit they just bought. And so if you see any of their shit in the yard, pick it up and bring it with you. We'll get you a bigger truck. Fuck you. What are you trying to get home to see your kids? It's Christmas. I need my yard garbage. We're going to shoot it into space. You go get that stethoscope off that old lady's yard. We're sending it to the moon, Gerald.
Oh my god!
You bag of shit. Get back in the van. They're just going to replace. They're going to repurpose all the trash trucks as Amazon trucks for picking up the returns.
Yeah.
And then nobody will drive those. There'll be giant trucks full of teddy bears, self-piloted by a dangerous anti-human AI.
Hilarious. We're so fucked. I mean, we're all gonna be working for Amazon just to like. It's just gonna be a circle of life. We're gonna be delivering the shit, and buying the shit and delivering. We'll just all live off of Amazon and Whole Foods.
You know what? I love the Whole Foods delivery included in my Prime. Because I
you order a lot of
Whole
shit
Foods.
From Whole Foods, do you?
I sometimes if I'm having people over and I need specific ingredients and I have to get the house ready.
How good is the same day?
Great. I mean, I can't believe they can pull it off. That's the thing. It is such a convenient service, and the prices are so much better on now that it's with Amazon than it was when it was just them.
Oh my god.
They have different price points.
Watching these people do these like circus acts in front of you, you're like, oh, how
But no,
fun! They're
but
like
it's crazy.
running around for their life.
Sometimes they fuck it up. Like one time, I needed like a poultry blend of fresh
Sometimes
herbs.
they fuck it up.
And sometimes they fuck
They're
it up.
slaves, Jake.
Well, this is the problem with this system. Is because, like, for Thanksgiving, maybe I was trying to get fresh herbs delivered a couple days out, and because they didn't have the ones I wanted at the grocery store I went to in person. And
You're a monster.
But instead of just refunding it, they got me a whole bunch of like oregano or like something that was not anything like what I wanted. But they got the same volume of herbs that I wanted, but just a completely different herb. So that was cool. It would have been a very Spanish Christmas if we had gone with that.
They were like,
that would have been nice.
The manager was just like, just give him a bunch of shit.
Give him whatever we got. Give him the fucking oregano. It's Thanksgiving. Give him oregano. They'll never forget.
He's not going to complain.
They'll never forget the year that they had only oregano at Thanksgiving. Oregano. It was really dumb. But also, it just doesn't make sense. There's no way that the number of people that have access to that service can actually be serviced by it. It's just not possible to have that many deliveries happening in the way that it's supposed to. And I've experienced this before. I experienced an Uber breakdown one time. I was hammered drunk at my friend Will's 50th birthday party, and they had a bartender, and it was very classy. And then he went to bed because me and my two friends couldn't leave because Uber was literally down, network-wide outage, and we didn't have Lyft yet.
Yeah.
And so my mom had to come get us. And then one year Postmates really shit the bed on Valentine's Day, but it was also a blizzard. So it's like an impossible thing to offer. They
don't
need
understand.
they need to-
yeah, exactly.
they need to
I
tell
watched
people
a guy
no.
steal.
This
It
Walgreens,
was
this
so
not
funny.
Walgreens, this Dairy Queen over
It's
by
not
me.
regulated.
This Dairy Queen over by me used to be a ghost town, and now it's plowed all the time because people see it on Postmates or whatever the other one is, and they Grubhub, and there's like, oh, I can have Dairy Queen delivered, and
Dude, you gotta hear this, man. I've seen it for like the third time this week, man. Okay, so the McDonald's in Eureka has a little kid. This fucking mom keeps her little kid there. She dresses him up in the fucking employee outfits and has him fucking working at the fucking McDonald's, dude. But the same thing is at the Chick-fil-A in fucking West County. They've got this kid looks like he's 14 years old, man. He's at the fucking Chick-fil-A. They've got like 3 workers at the fucking Chick-fil-A. I watched a guy online sit there, order his food, stare at the to-go counter where like they have a bunch of garbage that hasn't been picked up, and I watched him work around it in his mind. He was like, I'm just gonna take that shit. He just fucking took it and walked off. Like he just fucking like took the to-go orders and just like fucking, because they have all these fucking kids working in these fucking restaurants, and they have like 3 workers.
well,
Dude,
they'll
it's
just
fucking
make
crazy.
if anyone ever shows up to pick it up and says anything, they'll just make it again.
Make it again.
But that's what
Well,
the guy
then
saw. Is like
nobody-
either people aren't picking up these Uber Eats orders, or no one's going to stop me from taking them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting paid enough to stop me. Everything is a fucking rust
That's how
film production
Yeah,
everywhere.
Yeah, and well, because that's the thing, because they're trying to maximize profits by minimizing every other expenditure possible. And you were talking about this earlier. I mean, when you constantly slash labor,
Yeah.
just the rest of the thing is gonna. There's a reason you need labor costs in your organization, and if you start to cut those, the things that you rely on for that labor are gonna suffer. The reliability, the availability, the quality.
But it's just like the pandemic, like everything all of the things that the Gates unleashed during the pandemic, the only security precautions set into place by the corporations was the general social contract of the people. Like they're like, yeah, no, we're not going to have anybody guarding the to-go orders. Just rely on the fact that somebody will think to themselves, it's wrong to steal, or like, don't rely on, like, people see a telehealth thing where you can get unlimited amounts of drugs delivered to you with no regulation. Just hope that they think, well, I don't want to undermine the system, like that's what the pandemic did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. It's crazy. Yeah.
What's sad is that if we had just not exploited it, if America wasn't based on like constantly exploiting, like America's, we're still kind of part of the American dream is establishing laws based on exploitation. So like a really good example is the Hustler magazine guy. Like he was trying to push the limits of freedom of speech. So, quote, we didn't have to, but really he's just trying to exploit it enough to where like he can challenge the system enough to where, no laws will be in.
Is that
be
what
in
that movie
place or
was
whatever
about?
it is. Yeah.
Oh, I should
And
watch
like
that.
he acts like he's it's a good movie. He acts like he's some sort of hero, but he's not. But it's the same thing with like the telehealth stuff. It's like Americans are almost trained from a young age through like media and stuff. It's like if you see an exploit, use it. That's the way it is. Like you're a good American if you exploit the system somehow. And so like anytime there's a chance for people to exploit it, they absolutely will.
Well, it's not even so much like the system itself promotes that, like the legal system or whatever, but the culture definitely values that. We don't
cheating.
We don't want to hear that you went to school for 8 years and you worked really hard and you had a really good idea and you worked 18-hour days and then you sold it to a company and now you get to fish every day with your grandkids. Nobody cares about that. Everyone wants to hear that you were a stripper and then you stabbed a guy that tried to rob you and now you're a rapper. Like that's what people want. People want to hear.
We love that shit.
People want to hear that you won the lottery and you you launched a Lamborghini into space. You know what I mean?
Or how about this? Or how about this? We love to hear, it's like Iron Man. It's like, yeah, he was born a prodigy, and now he's the smartest man in the
What
world.
is that
Now he
voice
can
you're doing?
fly.
What is that voice you're
And,
doing? Stop that
I
voice.
don't know. I just made it up.
Don't do a different voice.
Well,
That's not
But
the
we
one.
we just love like magic. We don't love like, yeah, he went to school and he got really educated and then we love like he was a prodigy. It was magic. You know what I mean? Like we love prodigies. We don't like people who worked hard. Working hard in America is a scam.
Oh, this is on Paramount Plus. I got that. The People versus Larry Flint. I'm gonna put that on. Okay, so I accidentally got too far into Red Dead, and I'm accidentally in the epilogue. I kind of wanted to finish.
Really?
I wanted
You
to
beat
finish
the game.
Well, the story part. I wanted to kind of finish all the open world stuff before I did the last like big climactic train heist or whatever. And so now I'm in the epilogue playing as a different character, and I don't like it as much. And I'm supposed to get some of my weapons back, but like I had a whole cache of firearms, dog.
I love that. So funny. You were just savoring and savoring and savoring. Then you accidentally like stepped out of line and then accidentally are finishing the game.
No,
Like fuck.
yeah. I accidentally reached a very satisfying conclusion to the arc of the story, but too quickly. It's kind of
What a
like
shame.
it's kind of got rushed at some point. Like I guess I probably grinded out too much of the side stuff early on. Because then I started plowing through the story missions once I finished all the side missions, and now I got like I don't know. The epilogue still has pieces. It still has several pieces. I can't seem to get into my Paramount Plus here to watch The People versus Larry Flint, but we will get there. It's also on Showtime, which I think I have a subscription of somewhere for. Yes, I agree to the terms of service. God. Yeah, I have a DirecTV on the low, brother. You gotta have a burner.
Oh yeah, burner. Yeah, that came in handy the other day for you.
Oh, the
What
iPhone.
did you mean by that? What did you mean by that? Did you just mean an old phone that you had?
An old phone that I actually kept in shape because here's what happened with that phone is when I got my last iPhone, that previous iPhone had been the audio chip went bad, which is a thing that happens that it's a component in the phone that converts the audio signal from your microphone into the phone to be transmitted to other things, right? But they don't really replace those because it's kind of more expensive than just getting a new phone. And so, but the screen was cracked, so they didn't want me to trade it in because they wanted to bill me for the deductible for the, this is so interesting, for the Assurian plan that I have with it or whatever. So I just kept it to play Pokemon Go on because I had my aunt's old Pokemon Go account, and it's supposed to be one account per device. And so if I'm doing a raid battle for a Charizard and I need some backup, I would have it in my bag and I could hotspot it and I could get in there. Now in this case, the phone, my middle iPhone, my last full-time iPhone before this one, the screen quit working. I had replaced the screen a couple of times, and sometimes if you hit those, they won't crack, but the screen will quit functioning. And but I'm the ideal Verizon customer, and I had all my shit backed up. I had a backup from that morning, the day it broke, and I had all my passwords and shit for all my clouds and shit. So I put the SIM card in my phone with the bad audio chip just so I could get my text messages to let everyone know I was alive. And then I went into the phone store, and we didn't have a single goddamn problem. I had an upgrade ready to go. I had been sitting on. I knew it was coming. And, God is good.
Fantastic.
It's really good. What is the, and what else we got here? Bad Baby says fans who subscribe to her OnlyFans right when she turned 18 should be in jail. This is an interesting perspective.
Yeah, that was
I
bizarre.
love Bad Baby. I love the idea that she could take that vulnerable moment on that TV show with that man with that mustache And then she can transform that into a career where she can actually be who she wants to be, talk the way she wants to talk, and find an outlet where that can, bring positivity to her life. I also think her and her mom probably have a toxic relationship where they like that dramatic discourse between one another. And I like some of the music. White Porsche, brother.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean,
Dude, that's no. She's not bad. She's got a good producer behind her.
These Hoes is a bop.
Hell yeah.
And that's a direct reference to her, like, Dr. Phil kind of moment or whatever. But the song itself is actually really fun to listen to. And I like the really aggressive kind of, like, the hyper pop and the really kind of, like, next-gen bloopy internet hip-hop thing that the kids are doing. I like it. It's scary. It's intense. And that's always fun for me. I like to feel a little like, ooh. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I like to feel that the revolution is at the door. You know what I mean? That you don't understand where the world is going. You don't know if they even want you there. You know what I mean? Because it's like, woo, girl. That is a zing. That is the type of juice you don't just get.
100%. 100%.
You're a pain in my ass.
No, her music's good.
You are so boring.
I'm sorry, I'm fucking.
But here's the thing.
Up.
So this is interesting. So she had started her own OnlyFans, where she was going to sell, we'll call it intimate content to her fans there, and so she did this of her own volition, of course, with consent. Am I correct?
Yes.
But then she's making the comment that, well, I started it right when I was 18. But really, if you're subscribing to my OnlyFans right when I'm 18, that only makes you just very, very recently not a pedophile. Is that her perspective?
Yes.
The night you turned 18, you registered to vote. That's not what I thought you were going to say. She joined OnlyFans. Okay, so she joined OnlyFans almost immediately. Right, and then everyone else was like, "We'll give their money back if that's how you feel." That makes sense to me. Oh my God in heaven, I fucking am so sick of these cats. They're trying to kill me. Lord God. Okay, so Bad Baby.
I just don't understand how, like, it feels like they're doing a social experiment where they're just like, let this little girl say whatever she wants without being like, because again, there are people like there are usually people like in place of like public, public interactions like with celebrities like that say, hey, maybe you shouldn't say this, But like that's her whole career was based on her doing unhinged things, like her saying irrelevant things that are just crazy. Like, but that also I think is such a testament to. I'm going off the chain here. I think it's such a testament to how so many women act about that shit. Like they put stuff out there like that, and then they say, "Oh, shame on them for responding that way." And it's like that just shows how unchecked so many women are in this world.
I don't necessarily like generalizing about an entire gender of people.
Well, it's a particular gender of people.
Right, but that I don't typically like to generalize in that. But I do understand that there are some people that participate in that pattern, right, where they do something to draw attention to themselves, and then they get mad as if that was the goal when someone pays attention to it. You know what I mean? And you'll see it like if you wear something really low cut with a lot of cleave, you know what I mean? People are naturally, genetically just drawn to the cleave. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so maybe they shouldn't gawk at it. They certainly shouldn't touch you. Or maybe they shouldn't say anything inappropriate.
And the gender of that person.
But if you're gonna draw attention to the first person who glances for a little too long, even for a second, and when you're putting it out there like that, like that's hypocritical and kind of problematic, right? And so for you to start an OnlyFans and then insinuate that the patrons of your OnlyFans should be in jail is a little weird.
You're directly benefiting from.
Well,
the problematic
you're
situation.
selling them.
You're
That'd be
struggling.
like if I sold you a bag of drugs and then called the police and said, "This motherfucker just bought a bag of drugs."
Just fuck drugs.
This young man
Yeah.
here's officer. This young
Yeah.
man just
But
bought some
her-
drugs.
but her-
no,
like, I
no,
think
I don't
she
have
is
any
a-
drugs. I sold all my drugs to him.
But I think she's a little bit of a siren of like the siren, pun intended. I think she's a little bit of a siren of like how the logic of like so many women in their
Again,
anger towards men.
Again,
Well, it's a particular gender, Jake, and I'm saying it. I'm coming out of the cage.
oh no.
I'm the new Andrew Tate. Jacob V Weekly remembers Andrew Tate's new platform. You just leave the frame. You just walk out of the frame. No, but I mean, it's just like it makes me so mad. It's just like, I see I feel like she feels so safe saying that because there's
Well,
so
and that's
many
always been a problem with her, right? She
platforms willing
feels
to support her.
she really seems to get juice out of saying things that are kind of that are drawing attention to her and they are going to upset people, right? I mean, that's always been her thing since day one.
Maybe she's
So,
aware. I think you're
that's
right.
definitely
Maybe
part
she's
of the
aware
thing.
of how
I think. Oh, I
idiotic
definitely
it
think
is.
she's way into it because Dr. Phil talked about this on some podcasts that she had improved a lot, had done really well, but when she gets back with her mom, her and her mom do this back and forth in creating drama because it's some kind of infatuation they both have.
So funny, man. And guess what gender they both are? I'm just, this is all good fun, folks. Yeah, this is just a couple guys doing a podcast in a basement. We're just hanging
Not
out.
for long.
Not for long.
You motherfucker. I'm so sick
We
of you.
solved so many problems tonight.
But
man.
here's the thing. I love Bad Baby. But don't sell somebody something and then say they should go to jail for buying it.
I've always said that.
I've always said, I have, since day one, that's the first thing I ever said to you when you walked into my mom's house when you were 14. I
It's
said,
true.
Joe, what's your name? Joe.
It's
Don't
true.
ever put somebody in jail for buying something that you sold them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's everything
for
right now.
real.
That's Israel. You know what I mean? That's Palestine. That's Kashmir. What's the spot? Kenosha? Baltimore?
Kenosha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ferguson? I wonder what's going on in Ferguson these days. Is it cleaned up? Are they happy over
I
there?
don't know. I mean, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard very much about it. I haven't been. Have you ever been to Ferguson?
Oh, absolutely. Plenty.
Really?
Lots and lots of Craigslist deals mostly. There's a stream of apartments there that a lot of struggling musicians, I guess, live in because I go over there to buy microphones and pedals a couple times a year.
Really?
Yeah, it's happened like 5 or 6 times.
It does. Is that where they're stealing all that shit?
No, I mean these all seem to be like normal people that and there's businesses over there and there are families that have lived there their whole lives or whatever and they are part of that community. We just, they were going through a rough time with the police, but I wonder if it's any better. Any news out of Ferguson?
I mean, I haven't. Let's see. Ferguson in the news. Ferguson
I'm
Mo
looking
in
at-
the news. Let's see. We have here. We've got
We're getting a lot of names.
Carson
of
wants to
people.
make I-70 improvements. No, there's no. There was nothing going on before that whole shit.
But I'm just wondering, like, is it better there now?
Yeah. I mean,
All
Yeah,
the
I'm pretty
controversial,
sure.
all the controversial figures from that time are gone, right?
yeah.
Any of the chiefs or lieutenants or captains or DAs or whoever the type of people were that were causing a lot of the people to feel that injustice, that discourse between that dissent, that what's the word? The conflict between the people of Ferguson, specifically the people of color, and the police of Ferguson. I think a lot of that leadership is turned over by now. So maybe
Yeah.
it's all quiet. And that's what
Yeah.
the people want. The people want it to be quiet. Those people that actually live there, that's their home, they don't want to be on the news.
No.
And
Hell
I
no.
was a teacher at that time when that was going on. And so that was really a very emotional time. And I don't know that kids are ever as engaged in that stuff knowingly or whatever. I think we were much more sensitive to it as the adults because we understand that, oh, my God, this is really serious and it's really close to home and blah, blah, blah. So we were trying to be prepared for any kids that maybe were like that. But it was definitely, I don't know. But that was also a long time ago, Joe. That was almost 10 years ago, dude.
Yeah, I can't believe it was fucking. I remember.
You were an infant. You
lived
were just a
on there.
tadpole.
Well, I lived near there at the time. I lived in West End.
Yeah, you're like
And,
you're a vagabond, is what you are.
I'm a vagabond. Yeah,
The West End
that's
is
true.
nowhere. Where's the West End near Ferguson? You got to go way north
I
to
don't
get to
know.
Ferguson. From
I
the West
lived
End.
in the city. I just identified as somebody who lived in the city. I mean, really, it wasn't
I
even
think
that
that,
close
I mean,
at
the
all.
Ferguson is its own municipality, brother. That's mad insensitive, G.
Yeah. That's mad. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. No,
So,
but yeah, I lived near there.
yeah. What do you say we wrap this
Yep.
shit up so I can go watch this Larry Flint
Yeah.
movie?
You're gonna watch that for real?
Oh, I got pulled up right here waiting for me. Guys, that is another episode of Jacob V Weekly. No Antics tonight at the Duck Room. Fresh Rain tomorrow at the Alton VFW. If you're one of my Alton dwellers, sister, hit us up on the socials. You can text the show at any time, 626-4208. Joe, we're like staying on top of doing this every week. Isn't that great?
Well, this is my dream.
It's like
This
a real
is my
show.
dream.
And you know what? I really
Jacob
like this.
Weekly is my vision.
Go ahead and text us or comment on any of the platforms here. We're multi-streaming right now live to get the initial episode produced, and then I go through and I fix and clean up and mix the audio, and then I post that kind of immediately. So if you're watching us at any point in our video format, I really like having Joe on the Discord, which you can also join here on the screen.
You could really. That's a great.
Well,
idea.
the Discord my personal Discord for the show has or whatever has always been on the header here for the live stream. So we'd love to interact. We would love to interact with you in any way. Rate, subscribe, share, whatever you do. If you see us in more than one place, like us in both those places. We're on Spotify. You could boost me a number there, girl. The only way to support the show financially is patreon.com/JacobV. Today, January 20th, No Antics has a new music video out that I personally conceived and directed and co-shot with the crew. We did it DIY style. My friend Cole showed up to help out a little bit, and the whole thing was really great. I did a lot of it with this DJI camera. This is a little camera. It's beautiful. It's wonderful, and it's a really cool video. Molly does all the editing for our videos, and she's an absolute genius. She's exactly what you want in somebody like that. Gifted, focused, just really good. The video's live now. No Antics on YouTube. Go find that. Come see us at the Duck Room. Blinded by Stereo at Bandcamp. Find that record. Matt will ship it to you. It's on beautiful blue vinyl, 180 grams. It sounds really good. Produced right here in St. Louis. It's Sawhorse. We'll see you soon. We'll see you next week. It's Jacob V Weekly. High five.